Namaste. Welcome to the Ilonggayogi podcast. My name is Kate. I'm from Iloilo City. I'm a certified yoga instructor and certified in mental health counseling. I share content on yoga, mindfulness, fitness, mental health, self-care, and healing. Before we get into it, I want to let you know that I teach classes both in person and online. If you're interested in taking a class with me, just head over to bookwen.com/healing-iloilo for the schedule and rates and to book as well. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode. Thank you for joining me here today. So it's just been the start of a new month. Right now it's April 2nd, so Holy Week break just ended. And it was it was nice to have a break like that because I really needed it. But at the same time, I didn't know what to do with myself because I canceled my classes. I didn't want to teach. I also did not do any mental health support sessions. I just wanted to take a break. But then I realized when I literally don't have anything to do and everything is closed, I also just cannot stand it either. So I feel like next time if I have a break like that, I'll try to make it not super productive, but like try to do certain things that maybe I've put off for a while, especially like housework that I feel like I should do. But definitely taking a break from work is something I really needed, and I'm glad that we had that. And I know that there's another long weekend break coming up soon this month, so I think it's like next week something like that. So I also cannot wait for that again because I definitely want to take a break again. No, I'm not really, but like it's really good for just my mental health, and I think it's good for all of us, to take a break like that. So I am looking forward to that. However, this time around, I'm gonna make an effort to do more things at home that I don't have the time to do. So it's like maybe decluttering, cleaning up a few things, organizing a few things. We'll see what we can do because I know there's a lot to be done at home. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to not having to teach too much as well, and to also have a break from mental health support stuff. So yeah, because like lately I've had more like regular clientele that books for these mental health support sessions. And I realized that I can only handle like one session per day, because if I have multiple sessions per day, it really drains me a lot. And I'm glad that that's like not my actual career. It's really just like additional support for those who need it. And, and I'm glad that the way I conduct these sessions, it's more influenced by the yoga practice, not necessarily by like counseling. So I've realized that I can only handle one session per day, especially if I have like a session almost every day. And so, I think I also need to take a break from that because I get too overwhelmed if it's like 2 sessions a day and then I have another the next day and then another the next day. Like you're always holding space for others. Teaching yoga alone it can be quite emotionally draining too, because you're holding space for other people. So it's like very important that I set very firm boundaries no matter what, like regardless of anything else. I have to set those boundaries for myself so that I can do this for as long as possible. So that's kind of what I have learned recently. Besides feeling like I wasn't doing anything during the break, I actually did book an overnight stay at a nearby resort with my 2 cousins. And that was quite it was like a big eye-opening moment for me, because I've had some personal issues with family, and I've talked about it during certain events, like yoga events that I've held recently. I don't really go into detail about it. I don't think it's that necessary, but for those who know, then it's a pretty heavy issue, I guess. And so because of that, I had to kind of step away from certain people in my life. And taking the time to bond with my two little cousins over the break was honestly like the best decision I've ever made in a long time. So what happened was I wanted to hold like a special free yoga class on Easter Sundays, since that's kind of how I do things whenever there's like a long break. And like lately my schedule changes frequently, so I can't be very consistent with my classes. So I feel like it's better if I hold like these special classes here and there to make up for that, so that way I don't really have to adjust everyone's packages so often. So anyway, I wanted to hold a special free yoga class on Easter Sunday. And since we were going to do this at a resort and early in the morning, I decided to just book an overnight stay there. And since most of their rooms are meant for like families, I just decided, why don't I bring my two little cousins? Because I've never... I haven't been able to like spend time with them ever since I decided to, I guess, go out on my own already. So it was very necessary for me to do that again, especially because one of my cousins, who's actually the younger one, now stays in Manila. So I felt like I definitely need to take some time to be with her so that, we can keep that bond alive for sure. So that's kind of what I decided to do. And it was good because we were able to talk. One of my other cousins, she's already 16, so she's definitely much older. She's already a teen. The other one is 10 years old, so she's still pretty young, and we got to talk. And it was only through that time of just like chatting with each other and like just talking about things that have happened over the past couple of years, I was able to realize that decision I made of stepping away, although it was like a decision I made to protect myself and to take time for myself to just understand everything, process everything, and then heal from everything, I didn't realize that it would actually impact other people who even if they weren't really part of the issue, it still could impact them and negatively, like in a very painful way. And I didn't see that. I did not see that at all. I really thought like, when you make those decisions, you're just like, I think this is what's best for everyone so that, we can all find our peace. But then you realize that, maybe there are people who are influenced by this and who are affected, not influenced, but affected by this. And, especially when they're young, they won't really be able to understand it. And that's kind of where problems arise, in the long run, because it makes them, it just affects them. And out of everyone in our family, I feel like I would know this best because I've been through that. I've had to live my life with parents that were not together. They were separated and not really understanding why, because I was so young when they divorced. So, that's already been like a part of my life ever since I was 2 years old. And I've always had to deal with people leaving me to either work abroad, because again, that's kind of our culture here in the Philippines. We always have a relative who works in the US or anywhere else outside of the Philippines just to, just to help us all survive, I guess, So I know how that feels. And so I know how painful it is. And, before, when my little cousin would like message me and just ask, when am I coming back? Or, just let me know that they miss me, I didn't really take it that seriously. I didn't think like it was that there was so much weight to it. And then like after spending time with her and kind of understanding like where she's coming from, because like this little cousin of mine, she just moved to a new place, to Manila, where she doesn't know anyone. And like I know how that is. I know how that feels. It can be very depressing. And I'm pretty sure she's going through the same thing. I'm pretty sure she doesn't understand what's going on, just like I did. I'm pretty sure she doesn't realize that that's what she's experiencing, because that's what happened to me too, you know. And then she also has to deal with me leaving, and then, you know, her own family is also not with her all the time, because again, she has a mom who's also working abroad. So it's like the same thing. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, during this time I got to spend with them over Holy Week break, it was really a huge eye opener for me to see that like the decisions I make, they don't only impact me, but they can impact other people that I don't even realize, or that aren't really like even part of the issue or the story. So it's very important that like from here on out I put them first again, and that I show up for them as much as possible, that I'm there for them as much as possible, because I get it, you know, I get them. So there's that. And you know, I know that these choices I've made over the past couple of years were all because of my own personal struggles. And like, even up to now, especially when you're married, you just also keep going through a lot of struggles, whether it's just personal struggles, financial struggles, whether it's like relationship struggles, you know, it's just all, it just never ends. You know, it's just really part of life. But I feel like even more so when you're a woman, especially when you're at my age, like 32 years old, and you know, I'm married now, there's just like a lot of things that come up, you know. And I think that's like really part of being a woman, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about for today, especially since we celebrated Women's Month last March, right? So I felt like this is quite the perfect topic to focus on today, because through the women's circle that I conducted, that I did with my own community, and just like with this whole new chapter that I'm in, I started to, I guess, to see how a lot of women can relate to the same feeling of just like struggling with the questions that we constantly get ever since we were born. Ever since we arrived on this earth, on this planet, we've had to deal with a lot of questions that constantly come up every single phase of our life. And what I'm talking about is, you know, when you come of age, you will always start to hear people ask you, when are you going to get a boyfriend? When are you going to get a partner? And then when you do have a partner, they always ask you, when are you going to get engaged? When you do get engaged, when are you getting married? When are you going to get married at a church? When you do get married, it's always, when are you going to get pregnant? And when you do get pregnant, when are you going to have the second baby? So it's like never ending. It's just like, it's a constant thing that you always hear. And although like I've learned to, I guess, because I don't let it affect me as much. But that's not always the case, especially if for some reason, like I'm triggered by that specific question. It can really like sting. And for all the ladies out there who understand what I'm talking about, I'm sure you know what I mean. You know, it can definitely sting. And I think it's because these questions always unconsciously make us feel like we're just like never enough, you know, like this is our only purpose, this is our only role. So we feel like we are obligated to do these things. We are obligated to be in a relationship. We are obligated to get married or to have kids, to have as many as we can. But it's very hard with where we are now, you know. I mean, life is definitely not easier anymore, just with everything happening in the world. It's like we don't really have a choice. We have to be part of the workforce. We have to work twice as hard just to make ends meet. There's really like not much time left for us. And then, you add on this other layer of like, so when are you gonna have kids? And it's just like, I don't think we can do that yet. Like if I choose to have kids, I feel like it's a very irresponsible thing for me to do when I'm not ready. We're not ready, just in many different ways, and just in many different in many different aspects of our life. So it's like, so what now? Because like I remember when I was about to get married, I just kept asking myself, like, I've always wanted this, I've always wanted to know what it feels to get engaged, to get married. Like, this is a dream, But then, like, I would find myself, like, questioning it, like, why do we need to get married? Why is there a need to get married nowadays? For what? That's kind of what I would always think to myself, like, for what is this? Why do I need to do a church wedding if it's not just like the traditions we do for our church? Why do I need to do this? Why do we need to invite all these people? Why do we need to spend as much as we do for weddings? For what? Like, what is this for? And then eventually, just like many other girls out there, many other women out there, we ask ourselves, like, why do we want a kid right now? Why do we want to become a mother? Like, I know that I've always wanted to become a mom. I've always wanted that. But like now that could happen at any point, anytime, you start to think about it. Like, why do we want this? Is this just because I just selfishly want to become a mom? Or, I mean, I know that I have so much love to give and I want to be able to give that to them. But like, I know that there are also a lot of selfish reasons behind it that I may not realize at first. Like, I know a lot of parents who want to have kids, people who want to have kids because they just want to right the wrongs of their own parents. And I think that's not right, because we always have that mentality, and that's how I was raised. That's how many of us were raised, but it doesn't always work. It's not always, because then you are no longer present in your relationship with your child, and you're only doing it for selfish reasons. Like, your love is coming from a selfish place because, again, you want to right the wrongs of your own parents, of your own family. And like, your kid doesn't really have anything to do with it, actually. So it's like, so why do we want this? And so it just, like, I think it always bothers us. Like, I remember when I was younger, back in high school, and I would notice all the guys, especially the higher years, just like flirt with my batch of girls and just like want to date them all the time. And I never got that kind of attention. I would always feel like I was less than. It would always make me feel like I'm not good enough. But that's not entirely true. However, that's kind of how it makes us feel, especially when that keeps coming up again and again. People always asking us these things. It just makes us feel like that's the only obligation we have, and that's like the only thing that can measure our worth. Other than that, nothing else really like matters, However, like I said, I try to not take these things personally. This, of course, is something that used to happen a lot, but like now that I'm older, I don't let it get to me too much. I try to see it in a different way as much as possible. Like, now that I'm married, I will always get that kind of comment from relatives, especially from older people who are also married, who have kids, all that kind of stuff, who have a family of their own, whether they know me or not. That will always come up. And it's like, what do I say? What do you want to know? But at the same time, I just try to tell myself this is their way of making small talk, of trying to get to know me better, trying to, I guess, know where I am in life right now, and that there's nothing really to it. I try to think of it like that. But at the same time, I feel like this constant questioning has like pressured us unconsciously to rush into things, to not think of things properly enough, and it's not good. It's not healthy for us. So that's one of the things that I feel like a lot of us women can relate to, because I don't think men get that as much as we do. And that's like something I know can be very frustrating, because it affects us without us even like really realizing it. Let's take a quick break from this episode to talk about my juice brand, Daily Greens. If you're in Iloilo City and looking for a healthy juice that doesn't have any added sugar, no preservatives, and is packed with a variety of vegetables and fruits, then you should try Daily Greens. With 2 flavors, Greens Blend, a blend of 11 vegetables and fruits, and Carrots Blend, which is 50% carrots, and a mix of other vegetables and fruits, this is unlike any other juice sold on the market. Most juices are packed with more fruits to help it taste better, but completely miss the point of being a nutritious and healthy drink. Remember, fruits are still filled with sugar and must be enjoyed in controlled portions. Daily Greens make sure that you get the most out of a bottle, packing it with more vegetables than fruits and making it fresh, not to mention affordable for everyone. You can enjoy a bottle or 2 every day, which is perfect if your goal is to maintain healthy yet easy habits in the long run. You can order from Healthy Kitchen, Salads and Wraps, Sunday Bake Night, Storm Cafe, Simple and Whole, and Commune and Tiger. This is your sign to start building healthier habits in the most convenient way with Daily Greens. So what has this taught me? Well, I feel like I'm still like in the process of trying to understand it as well, because it's very hard when you're bombarded with this all the time. You feel like you can't really think for yourself, because whether you know it or not, these kind of questions always will affect your decision making. And it definitely is not fair. So I feel like, for one, I try to let go of just like these expectations of others. I try to let go of that as much as possible, because it's not going to be helpful for me or for my partner, or just like for our well-being in general. So for example, back when I was still young, I wish, like, if you're young right now and if you're in high school, or if not, and you're someone who has not had a boyfriend yet, I think that's very common in our culture, and there's nothing wrong about that. That's exactly what I want you to tell yourself, that there is nothing wrong with not having a partner right away, because I wish like I knew that back then that's not what life is all about. Like, that's not what life is. There is so much more to life than having a boyfriend or having a partner. It's supposed to be something that's just an additional thing that you have in your life, that you get to enjoy in your life. But I remember when I was younger, I felt like my worth was deeply attached to having a boyfriend, or to getting attention from guys, from boys. And I wish that I knew better back then, that that's not where my worth comes from. That's not where my value comes from. So when you always kind of get that question, when are you going to have a boyfriend? I mean, you're going to have a boyfriend. I'm going to get a boyfriend when I'm ready, and when they are ready for me. So whenever that comes, whenever the time comes for that, just be as patient as possible. Know that your life is so much more than having a partner, and what's great about it is without somebody in your life yet, that's like your opportunity to just explore, to grow into who you are meant to be, and to just become like the full version of yourself and express yourself fully, and have as much fun as you can, and there's nothing wrong with not having a partner, because, if the time comes, it'll come, it'll happen, right? As we know, people meet their person sometimes early in life, sometimes it's later in life. Sometimes they think they've met it, but then realize they haven't. Like, try not to put too much pressure on yourself or on anyone when it comes to like finding a partner, because I feel like because of that, we get so insecure easily. That's how I was. Like, I just felt insecure all the time. I just felt like I had to change who I was just to be liked. And that's not how it's supposed to be, So I think that's one. I feel like if you always get that question, when are you going to get a boyfriend? When are you going to have a boyfriend? It's really no one's business, because at the end of the day, that's your personal relationship that you're going to have to deal with, and it's your life. So it's important that you find and love yourself first, prioritize your happiness first, because having a boyfriend, dating should be like a fun experience, not something that'll like weigh you down or something that'll define who you are, because it should never be that way. When it comes to like getting engaged as well, I think like when I look back on it now, I definitely felt like because I was like 30. I was 30 when I got engaged. So I feel like we all of us women just like feel like there's this unexplainable timer, like there's this due date that we need to get engaged by this time in our life, especially when we've had a long-term partner. So I feel like although mine happened very organically, and I'm very happy that it did, I don't feel like I put too much pressure on my partner, and I don't feel like my partner was like pressured as well. What I loved about it was that it just like came from him. Like, he just felt like he was ready, and so he stepped up and did it. And I think like that was really nice. However, how I feel is like I probably would have changed how I would constantly think about it, and feel like that is the one and only next step that we can take. Like, otherwise, there's nothing else. I feel like that's not very healthy sometimes, because it can like affect. It can be healthy in some relationships. I think like if that's what you truly, truly want, and you've been together for 10 years, for 7 years, like that kind of thing. But for me, we were dating for 3 years. So I feel like I didn't have to think about it too often, and I feel like I could have just let go of that as well, because if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and getting engaged is just like this symbol. It doesn't have to mean so much, especially if you feel like you're pressuring yourself already and pressuring others, especially when, getting engaged leads to a bigger commitment, and that's the next thing, when you always kind of hear, the next thing that I want to talk about is like, when people question, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? All these things. Getting married, what I did not realize is that right away, like, I guess most of us understand it. We have an idea of it. But like, once you're actually in it, it's like, there's so much weight to it that we don't necessarily see right away. So I feel like if I could go back and just like tell myself to just relax, like, you don't have to worry about that right now. I know that I think like a lot of us ladies, we get so excited about the idea of getting married. It's like this dream come true. It's like this fairy tale thing. Personally, that's how I felt. But like now when I talk to my closest friends who are like also in a hurry or kind of excited for that experience, I just kind of tell them that don't get blinded by that, like by the wedding and like the frills of a wedding and how beautiful and glamorous it can be, because marriage is something that's really, it's like, it's the real deal. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all, but it's like you're committing to having to your partner that you're going to be partners in life, partners for the rest of your life. And that's not very easy to commit to, so I feel like when you always get that question, just don't let it pressure you so much, because again, getting married is such a huge deal. It's like you're making the biggest investment of your life. And so if you hesitate to spend that much money for something like a big investment that is basically a risk, then you should also feel the same way when it comes to marriage and really take it that seriously as well. So about like the whole marriage thing, just don't let it get to you, because it's not worth it, and it should happen at the time when you are ready for that and the commitment that comes with it. Now, the most important one that I wanted to talk about is, when are you gonna get pregnant? Oh, that question is just like, sometimes I hate it, sometimes I love it, sometimes I just like, I don't know how to feel about it, because it's such a stressful and a sensitive topic. And it just makes you feel like, when I hear it, right? Again, you're just not good enough as a wife. Like, you need to have kids, but we live in such a different time now that even when I have always wanted that in my life, when I think about it, I just realize like that is such a huge commitment. Like, that's no joke anymore. Trying to create life and then bring another human into this world just feels like, whoa, teka lang, that's like a lot, and that's why like a lot of, I guess, my age group now definitely have to think twice about it, because I've been through a lot emotionally, mentally growing up, and it's like, oh, am I willing to put my kid through that? Who am I to not let anything like that happen to them? Because really, like, life is life. Like, it is intense, it is complicated, it is hard, so it's like, why do I want to do this, right? So it's like, whenever somebody asks you that, I guess just again, stand your ground, and that when it comes, it comes. You don't have to rush that as well, because I feel like it's very important nowadays that when we do become parents and we have kids of our own, we have to be emotionally responsible for it. We have to be emotionally ready and committed, because we've seen a lot of young parents, or not even young, but let's say like immature parents, who are just not ready for it all, for the whole, for the package deal, and kids become collateral damage. It just becomes very messy, and it's just also very painful to watch. And especially nowadays, it's not easy. It's not easy to raise a family anymore. But the last thing, that I also want to say is that just don't ask these questions, like, period. Don't ask people, when are you going to have a boyfriend? When are you going to get married? When are you going to get engaged? When are you going to have kids? Just don't. Just stop asking it now. If you know anyone who always asks these kind of questions, maybe let them listen to this episode, or also let them know that that's not cool anymore. Like, it's best to just not ask someone, because I wouldn't ask someone, so when are you going to save $1 million? So when are you going to when are you gonna buy your house? When are you gonna get this investment? Like, I don't care, because that's their life. Like, they can do whatever they want. So it's also the same thing. Like, it's not right to just ask these kind of questions. And to the ladies out there who always have to deal with this, girl, I am with you. Just know that no matter what age we are, there really is no timeline. There is no such thing as a timeline. So please do not stress over all of that, whether you should be having a kid now or not, because if you know, you know. And if it happens, it'll happen because there are times when we think we're not ready, but we actually are. And it's the best thing that has ever happened to us, and sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes we think we're ready, but we really aren't. And then, we feel bad. We struggle through that. So we all have our own timelines and paths. There is no universal timeline. Just because you are 35 doesn't mean that you should be this and that at that point of your life. No, it's different for all of us. We're all on a different path, and we need to honor that. We need to enjoy where we are, because whether or not you have a partner, you came into this world alone, you're going to leave alone, and might as well make the most out of that. So that's all for me today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ilongga Yogi podcast. If you like more similar content, you can learn more on my blog and socials, which will be linked in the show notes. Wishing you peace in the body, peace in the mind, and peace in your heart wherever you are. Always take care, and I'll see you again next time.